This is the Weigh-In Podcast by Ben Broad Chestnut and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero. On this week's Weigh-In, we talk about Charles Oliveira versus Marquez Gamrot, and also the Jose Aldo retirement. So we're going to look back on the career of Jose Aldo, and that is going to be the talk of this week's weigh-in. So if we jump right in this one, we jump right in this one. We got a good one for use today. Charles Oliveira beat Gamrot via submission. Not surprised. So if we get right into that whole card. So we're gonna get to the bottom of this. You know, it was Luan Lacedera versus Samiman Oliveira. So the winner of that was Luan Lacedera. When we talk about the right after that, they had a women's bout. It was Juliana Postrali, I think is how you say it, and it's Caroline Kowalskiewicz. So in that first one, I didn't tell you. In that first one, Luan won by submission. In the second one, Juliana won third round by TKO. So then we have Lucas Larache versus Stuart Nicole. Lucas won that by unanimous decision. We have Baya Masida and Irena Oliziak. Olizvia. Baya won that fight, submission second round. So, you know, remember we talked about this last week about I personally like when I see a lot of fights like these. So I really did like this card. Well scheduled by Dana White. I really did like it. We had Victor Petrino versus Thomas Peterson. The winner was Vitor. I think that's what they call it, Vitor. Vitor was the winner. TKO. We had Jafel Fijo versus Clay Carpenter. It was Jafel who won in the first round via submission. So we talk about we had Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell Jr. When we talked in terms of that, it was Michael Aswell Jr. that won first round TKO. So we're going to move up out of that. That was the preliminaries, the prelims. Now we're going to come up to this main card. We have Ricardo Ramos, and we had Khan Afilal. Khan won by submission via first round. So we have Jonota Benitez versus Mario Pinto. Mario Pinto won second round via TKO. So we have Joel Alvarez. We have Vincent Liqui. It was Joel Alvarez that won via unanimous decision in the third round. Now we have a guy that we've seen before, Davison Figueiredo. We've all seen him fight multiple times, Davison Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. Davison Figueiredo won in the third round via split decision. Now, the main event we all know was that Charles Oliveira Gamrot, where Charles Oliveira won second round via submission. Now, I'm not surprised that Charles Oliveira added another submission to his resume. That was a good one for you guys. That Charles Oliveira was able to get that done. So I think in terms of this Charles Oliveira event, I liked it. I liked it a lot because there was a lot of stuff that was put together very well. I like the scheduling. When you look at this, we had one fight. Let me see. One, two, three. We had three fights go the distance to a split decision, you know, and that right there should tell you all that that was a really good scheduling. I get that some MMA fans they like when the fights go all the way, um, the distance, but I don't. I don't. As an MMA fan, I've always liked when I see a finish. I see a good old finish. I like to see a good. The only time I don't like to see a finish is when it's like a really huge mega fight, like the Max fight when knocked out last second. That I'm okay with when you knock him out in the last round because now we've gotten a full fight in terms of when stuff is huge. But really good fight by Charles Oliveira. I think that in terms of it, he's getting back to the stuff he wants to do. And that is a good thing. I think in terms of all in all, in terms of that, that is a really good thing for Charles. I think he's getting out and doing the things that he needs to do to get himself back to where he needs to be, back to being, top totem. Although I already feel Charles Oliveira is still top totem because I don't think that he hasn't not got himself to a top totem. I don't think he has not gotten himself to top totem. I think that that was a good thing that Charles Oliveira did, and I agree with that. He was able to get out there and get a finish. It's not too often you see that happen. But I like how he was able to maneuver himself in the fight. I think there was really good things in terms of that from Oliveira. I think it was really really good, and I think that's a good thing in terms of get out there and do and put up your fight. Do what you have to do. Do your type of fight. It doesn't really get any better than that. And I like it for a lot of reasons because it's really good when it comes down to stuff like that. When you get it to things like that, when you talk about stuff like that, I think that's a really great. Yeah, Max Holloway is what I was talking about before. And what I liked most about that Charles Oliveira fight was, Charles Oliveira had that rear naked choke. It's one thing to knock somebody out, but when you put somebody in a position when you're going to submit them, it's the same as saying I quit. You gotta give up, and I think Charles did everything he could in that fight to do the right thing, and I think that is a good thing. Oliveira does fights very well. I think that was one of the things that was very good about in terms of the event is that I like his style. That when you get to that ground against Charles Oliveira, you have to beware of the submissions. If you're not, you're gonna get submitted. It's just one of those things I think is going to happen. So that's one really good thing to say. That was a great event in terms of Charles Oliveira. I liked how Davison Figueiredo looked. I liked how that looked. So if we get to our second segment of the day, Jose Aldo retires. Wow. Jose Aldo retires. That is huge. He's been in MMA a long time. And you know what? Many of you will say, hey, for you guys on this pod, being McGregor guys over here, I will for sure tell you how it's done. First of all, lasted a lot longer in the MMA than Connor did. but we won't throw that shade when it comes to it. But I definitely think that I definitely think that he had a good career. He had a good career. Man, looking at some of these early UFCs, one of his good fights right here is UFC 179. Aldo versus Mendez 2. When he had his belts. Man, this is just real nice. Real good thing, man. Aldo versus Mendez, Aldo versus Lamas. Let's see some of his good finishes. Aldo versus Stephens was a TKO. This is what I want to look for. They say Jose Aldo had one. Let's see. It says here Jose Aldo, according to the UFC website, is one win by submission. Don't know how true that is, but we're gonna see if we can get you who got submitted by Jose Aldo. But there was some nice man Aldo versus Hamnick, man early in his career. Aldo versus Florian, Aldo versus Mendez, Aldo versus Edgar. Another what I thought that was a good one. Jose Aldo, man, lengthy career. His record was 17. Let's see what his record. His record, no. I mean, 32, 10, and zero draws. So he had 17 wins by knockout. They say there's one win by submission and 12 first round finishes. Whew. Jose Aldo, man, had a great UFC career. And now what we are going to do is we're going to find out who did he submit? Who did he submit? I know all of you want to know. I want to know too. So we're going to find that out right now. You're on the pod. We're going to Google it. We're going to Google it. As always, we're going to Google it. See who Jose Aldo submitted. We're going to see Jose Aldo. Who? We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. So let's see if we can find out who Jose Aldo submitted. All right. Let's see. We're going to see if we can get it for you. Let's see what it comes up with. So the UFC, it's looking like the UFC website might got it wrong because according to other MMA websites, he's never had a submission finish. UFC website says Jose Aldo had one win by submission, and we're unable to find out who Jose Aldo submitted. See if we can find another. See if we can get you an answer on that. Who did Jose Aldo submit? Right now, it looks like nobody. Looks like Jose Aldo submitted nobody. All right, we got it up. Let's see if we could get this an answer for you. Gonna get you that answer. So we got. Let's see. So it says we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna look. Jose Aldo, man. We're gonna find you who Jose Aldo might have. It says he's 1-1. The stats shown 1-1 and it's submit. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. We're gonna find it for you. Oh, I think we just did. No, no, no. That's not it. Yeah. Wow. This is a long time ago, man. Luis de Paula, March 19, 2005. Brazil. Chuto Brazil 7 was when, wow, Jose Aldo submit somebody. Wow. That's crazy. Jose Aldo, man. Yep, de Paula. Wow. That was a while ago, man. Wow. Jose Aldo. One submit. So we got down to it for you. It's on the way in. We will gladly Google what happens. We're able to find it. Luis de Paula got submitted by Jose Aldo with an arm triangle. And that is the only submit in his MMA career. Woo. Wow. So that's interesting. Jose Aldo, can't believe Jose Aldo headed to retirement. That's just great UFC career. To always have a winning record is really great. To have, fought for the belt multiple times. You know, was able to fight Mike Brown for the belt, then Uriah Faber. Come on, we got some good names on here. Kenny Florian. Come on, if you guys don't know Kenny Florian, I don't know who does. Kenny Florian. Oh my God, Kenny Florian was really good. They called him Kent Flo. Southpaw. Kenny Florian, man. Kenny Florian had some good fights. Some good fights. Kenny Florian had some good stuff, man. Not everybody has a length of the best MMA career, but whew. Chad Mendez, Frankie Eggers among some on there. Like, man, I tell you, man. Frankie Edgar had some good fights, man. Frankie Edgar had some really good fights. Some good stuff. Good stuff by Frankie. Good stuff. Looking at some MMA. Let's see who else had a good a lot of those teams had some good A lot of guys really good. Got Frankie Edgar, got Chad Mendez up here. Man, so many really good off that. Great to find. Great to see some of that stuff like that. To see Jose Aldo headed to retirement, really great. I think he had a great MMA career. I think, he's a guy that, you knew he could fight very well, amidst what happened in the Conor McGregor verdict, it doesn't matter what happened in the Conor McGregor verdict. Still, regardless of what happened in the Conor McGregor verdict, they still thought, wow, Jose Aldo is gonna come in here, he's gonna do something. He's gonna go in here and he's gonna make some noise. Jose Aldo's about to come in here and make some noise. Everybody thought, wow, Jose Aldo's about to go ahead and he's about to go ahead and make Conor. And he's gonna put down Conor. Everybody wanted to see that. Everybody was like, man, I can't wait to see Conor put down. That's one thing that everybody wanted to see. Did it happen? No, but that doesn't mean it still couldn't have couldn't have happened. Jose Aldo was a great fighter. Jose Aldo, you don't get to how Jose Aldo did without being tough. There's a lot of guys in the UFC like almost like Khabib. Like Khabib's another one. Khabib was a really great fighter. A lot of these guys are really good. Some of these guys have been around for some time. Now you're gonna start to see some of the guys. I don't know about you guys, but some of the guys I grew up on. I grew up on Jose Aldo. I grew up on Frankie Edgar. The guys that you grew up on. Watching those guys fight, seeing all those guys now retire is like, what? There's no way. You're starting to see some of the guys you grew up on retired. So I definitely think that's fairly interesting to see some of those guys who you grew up on retired. It's really crazy to see something like that. To see that, the guys you grew up on now all of a sudden those guys are retired, and it's something that's like, wow. It's definitely in and out there, to see that, the guys that you continue to watch fight are now all starting to retire. And I think that's, interesting. Through all of that, you're starting to see the guys you go up on now start to retire. And I think that that's great. In terms of those guys for MMA, I think that's great that those guys are finally hanging up their gloves and to be able to have Jose Aldo had a last ring walkout, which was I think that was a nice thing that Dana let him do is walk out one last time, have one last walkout and lay his gloves down. I think that was a great thing. I think that was a special thing for Brazil down there to have such a thing like that. And I also think that it was amazing for Jose Aldo to go and be able to do that, to go and be able to have the one last little walkout. To be able to get in there and have one last walkout was I think that's a really good thing. And I think it's really good only because I think the way Dana went about it, that's a really good thing. And I think in terms of that is really good. And I think, I like how Dana does that, and I think it should be done more often. I mean, not every guy gets that chance to to go out and say, hey, I'm finally giving up. Because most guys, it's just like, hey, you get ready to schedule him another fight, like the old John Jones, and you get ready, and you're supposed to fight Tom Aspinall, and you get ready to fight Tom Aspinall, and then you turn around, and instead of fighting Tom Aspinall, you turn around and you say, oh, I'm retired. I'll vacate the belt. I'm retired. Um, I'm I'm gonna retire instead of fighting Tom Aspinall. I know everybody may say, well, I don't think that's the case. Listen, that's exactly what he did. He ran from Tom Aspinall. We talked about Canelo running. We talked about Canelo running. We talked about the boxers running. John Jones ran from Tom Aspinall. I don't know why, but he did. He ran from Tom Aspinall, and you know it. You know, there's no there's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to look at it if you ask me. Tom Aspinall ran from I mean John Jones ran from Tom Aspinall, and that's nothing but the truth. No, there's no other way to look at it. If many of you don't agree with me, I'm sorry, but I do. Many of you could go and not agree with me, but unfortunately, I would say that it doesn't matter. I still believe that John Jones was running. Many of you may not agree with me on that, but I still believe John Jones was running. But nonetheless, that is yet another epi of this weigh-in. Um, Absolutely feel great to get you guys another epi, another great thing. To get you guys out here, continuing the streak. So I'm just continuing the streak onto this year, continuing to get episodes out for you guys and all of that done. And that is one of the great things I like about doing this is, being able to being able to do all of that and being able to do all of that and being able to do some of the stuff that is really good for you guys to be able to sit there and put out epis for you guys and do all of that. I think that's a great thing. I think that's, really nice. So with that being said, this is the weigh-in by Benoit Chestnut and no and the pop-in and normally the pop-in Sebastian Romero, but we will get back to the regularly scheduled program at some point. But like, comment, subscribe, share. Everybody, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Want to get to that goal. We want to get to our goal. We want to get to our goal of 2K. 2K viewing in 2025. We're almost there. We're almost there. We are almost there. We're at about 14, so 1,400 right now. Views right now. So 14, I think it's 1,441 views in 2025 right now. And we want to get that up. So please share so we can make our goal of 2K throughout the year. Please share the video. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. The weigh-in it might not have been the biggest start of consistency, but we are here now. We're consistent. So with that being said, this is the weigh-in by Benoit Chestnut and the pop-in Sebastian Romero. I just said that twice, but don't really care. Weigh-in out. The weigh-in